What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today, guess what we're going to be talking about? None other than the first week of EX-07's format. So, May 31st to June 6th really is where they're kind of going with it, and I'm kind of excited to see what Bliss are doing. So let's get into the video, shall we? So I want to thank this guy right here. Follow him on X or Twitter or whatnot. This man here took the time, and he does this every week and builds this nice choreographed, shows, oh, these are how many wins and stuff like that, which basically comes from a little bit of taking into account of Digimon CG guide. You can see how many decks, and it kind of mirrors there for that. Got a lot of 1-ofs and 2-ofs, but nothing too crazy. But definitely follow him on your Twitter and stuff like that, just to give him the support he deserves, because, hey, he takes the time to do this, and I'm really excited to showcase something like this. But taking into account of this, a lot of the format has shifted a little bit for, if we take a look at, let's take a look at the new stuff. One major card in general is taking up a big, interesting place in the format, and this is Shoto. Shoto here is start of your main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon, gain a memory. It's a really good and easy effect to gain a memory, but it's the end of your turn skill. By suspending this tamer, one of your Digimon gains piercing and blocker until the end of opponent's turn. So decks are starting to tech this card in because it's similar to how Tai was. Tai would instantly give that Greymon blocker. Now, if your stacks are big enough, they're harder to get through. And with that information, the blocker is really scary. And with Vortex Warrior, it gets the rest of its effect. But because you're only worrying about blocker, now your field can build up and be ready to deal with threats. This now helps answer like a non-yellow version of Magna X, because now you have a consistent way. One Shoto and then Blast Ace evolve, and as long as you can minus its DP or anything, or get it just above it by this much of a hair, that blocker is now preventing your opponent from getting into lethal, because they're going to be a little bit scared unless they can make it protected. So stuff like that comes down to a lot of knowledge, and this card is a very beneficial and effective card. I'm going to say this, a lot of people are going to start complaining probably about this card, and like they always do, but taking that into account, we got a lot of going on here. EX-07 introduced a lot of good, interesting new ways of playing. First off, though, we got Vortex Warrior. So this is just a very stock generic list that you kind of just see from time to time. Very expected. And as you can see, they are playing their tamers accordingly. Vortex is a very powerful skill because, you know what? Being able to, at the end of turn, this Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. With this effect, it can attack the turn it was played, is really powerful, especially because the top end does have, like, the EX-07 version has a security +1 effect. Now, being able to attack an opponent's Digimon with the piercing and blocker, really scary. So keep that in mind, especially because the Vortex is really good, and we have just some decent value here. And also, when Digivolving, when attacking, suspend one Digimon. If the Digimon effect suspends your Digimon, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Giving a decent control value is really solid. And the other one here, by when Digivolving, suspend one Digimon, then unsuspend one Digimon. All turns when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon effects and gets plus 3000 DP for the turn. And it has Vortex. And this thing gets beefier. So stuff like this does matter and come up later, but Shoto is really powerful, and it gives the ability to be able to be blocker and piercing. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at the next one. Mother of Dragons Hina. Hina! Oh my goodness, it's been a while since we've seen this girl do anything, and I'm kind of excited to see where she goes going forwards. The new support definitely helped out this deck a lot, and it synergized so well. And the fact that, we didn't get a new Hina, kind of sad, but with this Hina, though, still doing what Hina wants to do, Let's take a look at the new stuff. So first off, a lot of on plays. This is going to be searching for your Hinas because you need to dig. This one's going to do return one card with Machine or Sky traits or Hina from your trash to your hand. So if people are popping your shenanigans, really solid. And then when Digivolving, if you have one or less tamers, you may play a Hina from your hand without paying its cost. Same thing with the metallic. I think it does the same thing. This one just trashes, draw its 2, and then if you have one or less tamer, you play a Hina from your hand without paying its cost. And then you got this one that's going to be trashing the rock or earth to draw, gain a memory. So this one's going to innate draw you. The other one will do the searching a bit. But taking that into account, even this one is, gets a on play and when Digivolving for that popping, which really does matter sometimes. But if we take a look at what Hina kind of does in a vacuum, Hina is really solid. Just because if your opponent has a Digimon in play, gain a memory, and then when one of your Digimon digivolves into a dragon, rock, earth, machine, or sky in its traits, you may suspend this tamer to activate one of that Digimon's on play skills. Really solid at the end of the day, because even with the new metallics and the volcanic, this is one of the biggest reasons I think this deck is doing so well. Until Pillowmon takes over the format, and then your opponent's just crying a little bit. But there are effects that help out, because now you're not relying so heavily on its on-play skills. You can just use the when Digivolving effects and stuff like that. But on-play, when Digivolving of Metallic Digimon, Digivolves 4 of one of your opponent's Digimon, and then when Digivolving, none of your opponent's Digimon with level 4 or lower Digimon can Digivolve until the end of the turn. All turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effects. You may play one Digimon card with Rock Dragon or Earth Dragon in its traits from your trash without paying its cost. So already this deck solves the bigger issues here. And what is that? So taking into account that being able to play your big guys, especially after your opponent answers one, to be like, oh, hey, here comes another one down. There is a possibility in this world that you can just, if you have enough of the new metallic and volcanic Digimons, you can do this one from the trash. This one will place from hand. So each one has their own unique way of coming down, and being able to on-play when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon at the lowest level, and then when Digivolving, when your opponent can't play or move Digimon with 6,000 DP or less until the end of the turn. This is huge because this now counters Numemon. Numemon's whole stick is 6,000 DP or less. If they can't play or move Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, this slows them down extensively. So cards like this is starting to pop up where they're making some decent counters that were surprising to see. Volcanic and Metallic Digimon, I think, will stay around in the format for a good while just because of this. So magic numbers do matter at this point in time now. So keeping that in mind, especially this one has, when the Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effects, play one Digimon card with Machine, Sky Dragon from your hand without paying its cost. So the fact that they both would leave the battle area other than by one of your effects, you may play a new one. That's huge because now they're kind of just synergizing with each other to kind of keep each other on the board. Because Metallic Digimon's going to at least make sure that you get the Volcanic Digimon back on board, and Volcanic Digimon will make sure Metallic Digimon comes from your hand, and that reactivates all these on-play skills. And this makes it really hard for your opponent to deal with because a looping Mega is very scary. Now, we do got... I feel like I skipped. Holy cow, I skipped a lot. We'll fly back to the first one. But taking a look right now, we do have Lilithmon. So Lilithmon X is kind of similar to its old faithful friend Anubismon. It plays a little bit similar. It just focuses a lot on Lilith, but it focuses on Lilithmon X. There is Levia X in this, but I like that a big part of the format is starting to warp around Digimon Emperor needed because people are playing these promote games. So decks need to now focus heavily on Digimon Emperor, slow down those Ukomon decks just ever so slightly. So taking a look at the new format. So if you don't know what Lilithmon does, EX-06 introduced itself with some very powerful skills. So on play, when Digivolving until the end of opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets end of turn, delete this Digimon. Very scary effect. And then all turns, when this Digimon will leave the battle area other than battle by deleting a 1 level 5 or lower Digimon, prevented from leaving. Opponent's turn, when another Digimon is deleted, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Really powerful skill, right? And then you have its X antibody version. So all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than battle, if Lilithmon or X antibody is Digivolutions by deleting one other Digimon, it doesn't leave. So you can target your opponent's shenanigans and make it so they lose value here. Then all turns, when another Digimon is deleted, if it's your turn, you may play one purple level 4 or lower from your trash without paying its cost. If it's your opponent's, it trashes the top security stack. So being able to remove security stack for free is really scary, because this card is already hard to remove. If it's your turn, you're getting punished. And that's starting to show a lot in this card game, is that a lot of cards are now revolving around punishing your opponent for trying to do X. And removing security makes it very scary, because that puts you on a more of a bigger clock than your opponent wants to be in. So, I mean, to be straight honest with you, if I'm facing this deck, I'm put on a little bit of a high nerve, because I have to answer that stack before it becomes Lilithmon. And to be honest with you, they'll Digivolve and Raising, set up, promote up, and then boom, you're dealing with this thing. If they got 3 memory, if they have a mem setter, this thing's coming down, passing you turn, and then you're dealing with this. What's also really scary is the new LadyDevimon X antibody. So on play, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gains end of attack, delete this Digimon until the end of their turn. And then if you have LadyDevimon or X antibodies Digivolutions cards, you may play one Valo and Zadarkin. This is a level 4 purple blocker retail token. So it's the shield and then the kite demon in the back. So keeping that in mind, and then opponent's turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, you may play a level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its cost. It constantly cycles back pieces to keep this Digimon on board. So keeping that in mind, that you will have to get rid of the token first, or the lower body first, and then maybe hope that you can protect your Digimon stack. As long as it's unaffected by your opponent's effects, they can't delete it, so it will die. But if they have a body coming out, you're kind of screwed. But this card is also very scary. So end of turn, when your opponent's Digimon into Lilithmon X antibody, you may return this card to the bottom deck, activate its main effect. All your opponent's Digimon gain end of your turn, delete one of your Digimon until the end of the turn. So a big way, this thing could lead to board wipes in its own right, which is fine. We're not too scared of that. Actually, we are. I am not joking. I'm a little nervous on anything that just says, oh, end of turn? Yeah, bub, go deal with it. But taking that into account, we're looking like a very solid starting point, and maybe Lilithmon X has a lot more value going into it. Then we do have the big boys here, and that is the Fang and Nightclaw deck. I'm really excited to talk about this. But taking into the account, we have Shoto here as well. Giving your Digimon blocker, especially in this list, giving Mirage blocker just to make it so they can't swing in, or the Metallic or Volcanic, is really scary. Actually, let's be honest, this thing, Ice Clad, if you give this thing blocker in the big deck that this deck can get, because the magic numbers matter. The blue stuff will make it so you're bigger on your opponent's turn. The red stuff will make it so you're bigger on your turn. But giving Hexablow blocker with Shoto's effect, just saying, go ahead and swing, bub. I'm going to take your shit out. Just because there's no Digimon in this game that keeps up with the shenanigans of the stack of Fang and Nightclaw. That stack gets way bigger than any X antibody deck can ever dream of sometimes. I mean, the only deck that can really rival it in a stack contest is probably Mugen and Ragnarlord. But outside of that, Ice Clad with blockers is nasty. So, keeping that in mind, especially I like that they have a small Metallic Dramon and they have a Volcanic Dramon loop here going on. Just really powerful Digimon. I like that they have Louis promoting up shenanigans, especially if you bring these up, it gives you more memory. It's kind of interesting they dropped the Galaxymon effect, Galacticmon here. It's fine. We don't need him. We don't need Grace Nova, actually. Sorry. God, I'm having one of those days. But without anything else, I think it's really cool that we have Palo Mode Ace in the list too, just because it fits the color requirements, minus the metallic, and the Apollo. But at the end of the day, we're really cooking here. I think this list has a lot of potential, especially with the top end changing up. Shoto is just one of those powerhouses, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So guys, what did you think of this video? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.